I am uncomfortable with picking Kyle Hamilton at 2 overall. Am I way off base with that statement?
We're talking about the second overall pick.
What's the 6'4" guy going to do with George Kittle in the slot?
He is not a snob, but he's very good at NFL drafting now. It's just he is the co-host of the draft show on Woodward Sports Network. Our friend, your friend, the great Scott Bischoff. Scott, how you doing, my friend?
Hi, guys. Let's not get carried away with the word great.
Hey, Scott, I wanted to talk to you about this. First, before we move forward, I want to talk about Kyle Hamilton here. We got a ton of hate from Notre Dame fans yesterday saying we don't know what we're talking about. I am uncomfortable with picking Kyle Hamilton at 2 overall. Am I way off base with that statement? How do we see Kyle Hamilton here?
I would tell the Notre Dame fans just to suck it. Like,
yes.
I mean, seriously, we're talking about a safety at 2. So, Ryan, you're all over it. I mean, I would be incredibly uncomfortable with him at 2. I've seen a lot of people sort of dismiss his 40 time, like, he didn't run straight. And it's like, well, there's a reason. Braylon, let's talk about this. If a guy runs a 40 the way he ran that 40, does it tell you there's a little stiffness there?
1,000%. Scott Bischoff gets it. Tells me that he's stiff. It's a guy that doesn't have that explosion. He doesn't have that linear movement that you want to have. Doesn't have that flexibility in the hips to be point A, point B. He's stiff, so it's kind of here. It's kind of over there. It's kind of 4-5. It's kind of not going to get you beat when you play against Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and the list goes on. Are these extremely fast wide receivers? He's going to get torched.
He's going to get torched. Yes, he is. So you've got a guy who's 6'4", and everybody wants to portray him as a unicorn. He's got really long legs. You are not asking him to play over the slot in the NFL. You're just not.
No, not at all.
He's going to get beat. You can watch him in college. You can watch him lose at the line of scrimmage against college receivers. And, yeah, he's got a nice long stride. And when he unleashes that stride, he looks good. But with him, we're talking about splash plays that we've all seen. Everybody points to the interception he made against Florida State on the sidelines. The thing that stands out to me watching that is his recognition of what was happening, and it's impressive. I think he does watch a lot of film. I think it's obvious he's a smart dude. He understands what offenses are trying to do, but the reality of that play is, and I would urge you guys all to go watch that play again, if that quarterback doesn't throw an arm punt down the sidelines there, he doesn't intercept that pass. Yes, he gets there, but it doesn't look as pretty as it does. It's a splash play and there's context to it. That play is not happening in the NFL. It's just not. So there's a little bit of we see, some of it is too is Notre Dame. It's the golden helmet. Everybody wants these guys to be rock stars. I think he is set up for a little bit of a fall on draft day. I think there are concerns about his stiffness in space.
Yes.
If you were asking him to play in the box as a box safety and do some things against the run for you and cover certain parts of the field, that's great, but we're talking about the second overall pick. So,
man, tell him, Scott. Tell him the second overall pick. You're talking about a safety. When you think about great NFL safeties, when you think about Pro Bowl NFL safeties, Hall of Fame safeties, they all have something similar in kind. Ronnie Lott, 6 foot. Ed Reed, 6 foot. Bob Sanders, 5'10". The list goes on. Eric Berry, 5'9". Earl Thomas. They are smaller guys. That way they are explosive. They are literally learning how to, like the flexibility, the core. That's where it's at. 6'4", like you said. What is a 6'4" guy going to do when he has to stand over Jalen Waddle in the slot? What's a 6'4" guy going to do with George Kittle in the slot? It behooves me that they put all this on Kyle Hamilton.
He's going to tackle him very far down the field.
Sounds like a lot of penalties. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, you could see. I don't know that he's real grabby at Notre Dame, but I mean, I could see him losing. You can see it on his film when they roll him up over slot receivers, and we're talking about. I'm not talking about guys who are going to play in the NFL as slot receivers. I'm talking about Notre Dame competition slot receivers who are not going to play at the next level. And the first couple steps he loses, where he's giving up ground. Now, those guys are not fast enough to run away from him, but the guys you mentioned are. They're gonna run away from him, and I just don't know in the end exactly where you play him. That's the biggest question I have with Kyle Hamilton is what exactly are you asking him to do, and it's a huge unknown. He is one of those guys where I am just I'm pushing away from him, period, at 2. Just not interested.
Scott Bischoff joins us. He's our draft expert, of course, from the new draft show here on Woodward Sports. Hey, there's a couple guys out, Bruce Feldman and Todd McShay today. They had identical Lion picks at 2 and 32. 2, he's got Trayvon Walker, and they both have Desmond Ridder at 32. Kayvon Thibodeau was the talk earlier this week. They love him. Peter King says they're really interested in him. I mean, how do you look through all this bull crap and just take Malik Willis at 2?
Well, so Bruce Feldman is more of a college football tight end guy. He doesn't have Charles Cross, the Ole Miss tackle, in his first round, which is just like, it's confusing, right? So, but I mean, we talk about, if we're talking about risk, Trayvon Walker brings a ton of risk at pick 2. This is, I mean, he's a workout warrior. He looked incredible at the combine. There are moments on film where he splashes all that stuff, but this is a really raw player. This is a player who doesn't have a lot of pass rush moves. He plays a lot of bully football where he's just, I'm bigger and stronger than you, and he is willing to use his hands. I mean, I will give him that. It's just right now, this is not a player who I think is even on the same level as a Kayvon Thibodeau as a pass rusher. He's just not. So if you're drafting him to be able to tap into whatever upside there is with him, and the hope that he will eventually match how athletic and how big he is. Plus, he's got some position versatility too. So, as much as we want to, this is part of the Malik Willis conversation because there's risk, but there's risk with Trayvon Walker just as much. There's no guarantee that he ever turns into anything more than what he is right now, is just a guy who eats space and is more of a workout guy than he is a football player. And we've seen teams miss there, repeatedly over and over. To me, that's one of those guys where if he matches his athleticism down the road, yeah, you could have a monster on your hands. That's a huge if.